Duke, welcome to VOA. Thank you so
Mike.
much for being with us, man. This is really exciting.
Thanks for having me.
Where to start? Your story is deep, my friend. We'll just start off by highlighting what you've accomplished in America, right? I've seen a lot of your shows. You work with a lot of African superstars. Wizkid, Davido, Burnaboy, Adekunle Gold. The list is endless and endless and endless. Talk to me about your journey, because you are easily one of the most reputable faces when we talk about African entertainment in America.
I started back in Nigeria when it was born out of passion, and I used to organize, school theaters and plays and end-of-year parties. And right after college was when I started Duke Entertainment. It was called Duke Entertainment then, without a concept. And I made efforts to start doing shows in Nigeria. I remember moving to Calabar right after college to kickstart it. But it didn't happen the way it was. I planned it. And a few years after, so then I left to Lagos. I moved to Lagos. And I studied engineering. I started working in Lagos as an engineer. A few years after, I relocated to the States. And when I relocated to New York, I realized there was something different on how our shows...
What year was this?
I relocated in 2011, and Duke Concept was born.
Easily the biggest artist at that time would have been D'banj. African artist, I'm thinking.
I think you're actually correct.
Okay.
That's how far away it was, right? And I used to attend concerts in Lagos before coming here. I remember attending a Shaz concert. It was mind-blowing, one of the best concerts I ever attended in my life. And coming to US and attending a concert of African artists, it was done in warehouses, very unkept places, and sometimes unsafe. And I said to myself, we could do better. And that's when I told myself that there was an opportunity for me to make a difference here. And that's how Duke Concept was born in 2013.
So now, throughout that time, once again, like I said, the catalog is very long. You pointed out easily over 10 years ago, where D'banj was the biggest guy we have. Right. Now we've got Burnaboy, Davido, all charting artists who are filling out stadiums, all complimentary to your work, by the way.
Thank you.
How talk to me about that transition for African artists, going from performing at small little venues to all of a sudden they're filling out arenas everywhere.
You see, it's fantastic to see, right? I'll give you an example. When my company, which was pretty new then, in 2014, when we hosted Davido's very first concert in America, it was in New York. It was in some place that was not where we are now. It was one of the biggest shows at that time, and because of how things were, the security couldn't handle the number of people. Also, but remember, because we were not also in the proper venues, we're not able to coordinate properly. But it reminded me again of the purpose why we started this, was to make a difference. So we started making deliberate efforts to get into the proper venues. Because remember, they were not allowing us. Remember, everyone is celebrating Afrobeat now. Everyone wants a part of it, but they were not allowing us to do events, in the proper venues. I remember it took me 3 years to secure the Apollo Theater to do anything there before I hosted Burnaboy then. They were not opening our emails because they did not believe that the Afrobeat artists
could do
those things. Now we are selling out 30,000 capacity venues. It shows us that first, it's important that we believe in ourselves and we are consistent in our work.
You were part of the team that organized Burna's Madison Square Garden show, were you?
Correct.
How let's talk about that. Actually, that's a very historic moment. First African artist to do that. How do you strategize and make sure that he pulls that off? Because if he had flopped, that's a big dent. But but it had to work. So how do you do that?
Well, it's something we do all the time, which is strategize. I think the main part of that was to ensure that the timing was right, and the marketing was right. Right. So interestingly, we were able to sit down and figure out how to get everybody to that one location for that historic moment. And I think that it has opened doors to a lot of bigger things across the culture.
So now let's talk about, I guess, before we segue to the next point, which would be the shows that you have coming up. I am really curious more about your contribution towards Afrobeats as we know it, especially here in the United States. Time and time again, we hear about how the promoter is the pivotal guy. People need to get booked. Once upon a time, it was very strange for an African artist to be booked. Now they're doing stadiums. They're all over the place. They're plastered. They're charting on billboards. How important do you think your role is towards that, to this pivotal moment?
You know, the truth is that a lot of times a lot of people tend to overlook the importance of the promoter in their success story. Our artists, some artists think that it's all them. The success story is all them and their team. No. The promoters play a serious role because it's the promoters who would take that flyer to the streets.
Right.
There's a promoter who is knocking at that door and saying, I need you to attend. I need you to listen to this. Have you heard of this guy? From 200 capacity to 40,000 is a promoter who does the knocking at the door. So without us doing this, now every type of promoter you see, the big promotion companies, they're all throwing money at Afrobeats.
Oh, yes.
And they're all trying to drag the shows with us because they see they see it as lucrative now. But when we started, they didn't see it as lucrative. Now everybody wants to book an Afrobeat artist.
Right.
Why? Because we've built it to be lucrative.
So now to segue to the next point, you have a couple of big shows coming up. We'll start off with Rolling Coco. You're bringing out the who's who from Ghana.
Ghana, yes.
Stonebwoy.
Yes.
The
Black
Sherif. Oh man. Talk to me about that. How did we get here?
I don't want to lose my Nigerian passport. So I would be very guided in how I say it.
Be very sure.
But I'm a fan of Ghanaian music as a person. Because when you are...
Is it wrong to be a fan of both?
No, it's not. But I don't know if you know what happened to Mr. Easy when he chose Ghana Jollof over Nigeria Jollof. No, it's not. It's not. But I'm a fan. I think that Ghanaian music is very authentic, right? But I also feel like they've not been given, or they've not created an avenue to showcase authentic Ghanaian music to the world. They still have unadulterated African music sound. And my Ghanaian friends, those who are close to me, know that I always jokingly say, which I'm serious, that when I open a label, one of my first artists will be Ghanaians. Okay. And so...
Now that's what will make you lose your passport.
So I love Ghanaian music, and mind you, we've started trying to push this culture from a very long time. And Ghanaian music has also grown a lot. And so bringing the likes of Altubis, who have always made good music from back in the days, right? So bringing the old and the Blacko and merging them. Then the legend Stonebwoy. Then you talk of Kiddy, who has a song with over 90 million streams.
I've always had a theory of Ghana and Nigerian music, both beautiful. The difference is Nigeria has always had the numbers and the buying power.
Correct.
How important is it to now expose more Ghanaian artists to that buying power?
So that's what we're trying to do. So I always say that Nigeria has good music, right? But what sells Nigeria is not just the music; it's the business, right? But Ghana is still a growing country when it comes to music. They have the talent, but the business of music, the music business is still, there's still a lot of learning to do. But it will get there. So opportunities like this puts them on the world stage for those conversations to start happening.
Now, after that, I know you've got the big man, the Odogu, coming up, Burnaboy. Tell us more about that show, too.
Well, I don't know if we talk much about Burnaboy these days because we're
it's so marketed.
Yeah, exactly. That show is almost sold out. So let's move on over to the next one.
Let's go. Go ahead.
We have Sam City.
Okay.
Which is first of its kind as well.
Okay.
The gospel concerts. We listen. I told you I'm from the church, so I'm supposed to be a priest, but
Hey.
so the Sam City, and we're doing it big as well. It's going to be 31st. It's going to be in Houston, and on the April 6th will be Washington D.C.
Okay.
Capital One Arena.
Okay.
And we have gospel artists from Nigeria, from Ghana, from French Africa, Francophone Africa. It's just beautiful to see. I'm excited about that because that's something that people are used to the party life and all that.
Right.
So it's something different.
That's what I was about to ask is how do you, because Capital One Arena is a big venue, my friend.
Yes.
How do you, if this is the first of its kind, how do you then run straight to the big boy?
My dear, I don't know. Well, gospel space is a music festival, gospel music festival, right? And we have over 10 artists.
And gospel is the highest selling genre on the continent.
So you answered yourself.
Okay.
Everybody's religious in Africa. And I think that is an opportunity that has been long overdue. So we had to do it big. We had to do it big for everyone to come.
Duke, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us, man.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.